Hello, my name is Zane Laufenberg, and today I'm going to present a site plan that I found on the internet that I thought was interesting. Um, this site plan is depicting a processing plant that has already been built, but this was the plan for it. This processing plant was going to actually be processing uranium, so I thought that was pretty cool. The owner, as you can see here on the left side of this project, is AUC LLC. They also go by a name Uranium Energy Corporation, so that kind of makes sense. Along with the owner here on the left side, we see some other important contact information like the head civil engineer, structural engineer, geotechnical engineer, electrical engineer, and fire suppression. Now the fire suppression had not yet been determined, but I'm assuming they would have gotten that contact information before they had started this project. Some important things on this cover page or title page, of course, is the title, what the name of the project, which is the Reno Creek Project, and also where it is located. Right here in the left-hand corner, we get the site location map. It shows us that this processing plant is located somewhere in between Casper and Gillette, Wyoming, and then they blow it up to show an exact location where this parcel is. You can see it's off of Highway 387 and then also off Clark Lane Road. You can see that road here. Right here is another important part on the cover sheet. It's the sheet index. Normally it's the letter A as we learned in class, but they are using the letter C to number these pages. Now this is important because a lot of times a surveyor doesn't need to look at every single page, and they want to quickly flip to a page. So these numbers allow them, and these titles allow them to go to the page they need to without having to flip through every page. You can see that C 3.0, C 3.1, C 3.2, and C 3.3 and 4 all have to do with grading. So we know that C3 does with grading, and then the point 1 through point 4 show different aspects of the grading. Down here in the bottom, the footer normally will stay the same all the way across, except for right here in the right hand corner. It'll tell you what sheet you're on and what that sheet pertains to. The next page on this site plan is the legend. This page is very important because it allows the person, whoever's viewing the site plan, to be able to easily recognize what they're looking at, because a lot of times these site plans can be confusing. I know the first time I was looking at them, I was really lost. So this helps a lot to find out what you're looking at and what these lines and these shapes represent. For example, right here we see the proposed topographic contours at an interval of 1 foot. That's important, especially for us as surveyors. As we'll see further on in this site plan, that we know that this represents 1 foot of elevation. And then right here, this is important to show our detail indicators, what the detail number is, drawing where detail is located, drawing where the selection is located. And so these are good reference markers of detail callouts and section callouts. Here are the general notes. These are basically for everyone that are working on this project to abide by. So you have 13 major notes here, and then an abbreviation list as well as part of the legend to understand what some abbreviations stand for. If you're unsure, you can always come back to this page and refer to it. That's why I assume it's at the front, because it's very important and it is vital in understanding what you're looking at. I like to look down here where you see an existing survey brass cap monument, an existing survey benchmark. Those are also important for us, as we'll see here on this next page. This site plan is what's existing on the current building site and also shows the survey control. So we have a bunch of buildings here, some power lines, some natural gas tanks, and then the current elevation. So as surveyors, we want to come in, and if we notice here, as we saw in the legend, this is a benchmark. It has a leader telling us that, but we could also look back at the legend if we didn't have a leader, and we could know that these were current benchmarks. So as a surveyor, I would come in, I would set up on those to find out and get an elevation for myself, and then I would go about either setting or finding these corners, and note that this is a road, and we would note the right-of-way on it on these upcoming pages. So we set up on those benchmarks, and then we could note a cut or fill for the building site. Continuing on through the plan, right here we would look at what needs to be demolished and that to build the building site. That's not really for surveyors. And then continuing on, this is the general site plan index. And what I wanted to get to is, I thought this was interesting. This shows how this road is going to come in, the size of the semi-trailers that will be coming to pick up or drop off loads, and how they'll come in through a circular motion around and then right back out. They want to show how big this curb needs to be to fit those trucks when they're turning. And then here it shows us that 60-foot right-of-way for Clark Lane Road. Continuing on through the sheets, I wanted to look at some elevation grading. So if we look back through here, we begin at C3.0 and then C3.1, C3.2, etc. Every 3 number refers to a grading. So right here we're looking at I'm grading for the backup pond. So we have current contour lines of what the elevation is and then what we want to do to grade down to make this pond. So we know from the legend that we looked at each one of these lines is a foot apart and a foot in elevation. So we say that we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet, have a flat area, and then continue down, and then another flat area at the bottom of this backup pond. I'm assuming this is safety measures to cool the plant if there's a failure. I'm not sure what a backup pond is. But this is important for surveys to know that we need to cut here, the elevation, and further up to know that we need to maybe fill or cut here for the building plan. Right here, this is showing us the grading from a side profile, and this is the access road. So it comes at a lower elevation, and then we go up on a grade to get up to the plant. So these are all things to recognize, and it's very important that we can read the legend and be able to know what each one of these symbols mean. For right here, we're looking at the site cross sections, and so we're seeing what elevation we're going to be at with the processing plant, the office shop, and the pond, so you kind of get an idea what it's going to look like. So I thought this was an interesting site plan. They went in and built this uranium processing plant right there. And as we go through this class, I'm beginning to understand more and more why these site plans are so important and how we can read them. Here's another interesting part, is that we're going to have a hill here that's going to be built up, and then a flat plane for this processing plant, and then you're going to drop back down into your backup pond. So that's my presentation for this site plan. I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to meeting up with you guys.